Thank you for staying with us. President Bola Tinubu has asked Qatar investors to report any Nigerian official who demands any form of bribe before allowing them to do business in the country. This was revealed at the Nigeria-Qatar Business and Investment Forum in Doha, where he insisted that Nigeria would no longer be held back by corruption, which is stifling the ease of doing business. The president also told the investors that Nigeria's economy and its systems were being reformed to ensure smooth business transactions. Joining us in the studio is strategy consultant, public affairs analyst, Dikbo Oyewole. Dikbo, good morning.
Good morning.
Good to have you join us. And we have also joining us public affairs analyst, Muyiwa Ogunlaja. Good morning. It's good to have you join us.
Good morning, my dear.
Now, this statement has been generating reactions across social media and even on the air. But let me just quickly read what the president said verbatim. It says, quote, "I am here to give you the assurance that reforms are going on. Forget about whatever you heard in the past. Whatever is the obstacle or problem that some of you might have experienced, it is in the past because there is no obstacle in the future. Do not offer a bribe to any of our people, and if requested or taken from you, report to us. You will have access to me. Nigeria will no longer be defined by the past, but by what we do now and moving forward. Do not let perceptions become a hindrance to your will to invest. Nigeria is serious about revolutionizing investment promotion." I'll stop there. Let me begin with you, Dikbo. What you make of the statement by the president? Should he have made this statement? Because the question or some of the comments that are coming is the president shouldn't have said this at all.
Okay, well, initially, if you saw the headlines and all of that, you'd be quite alarmed. But reading the context in which it was said, because in the end, context does matter.
Absolutely.
So in the context with which he was saying it, you could tell that, and anyone else will tell you that, unfortunately, Nigeria has a global reputation for such things, especially within government quarters. We've had a few cases where, because of that reason, certain investors have said they won't come into the country and they won't do business with Nigeria ever again, ranging from international airlines to people who wanted to do something in sports and across different industries. So I believe it was within that context that the president was speaking from. And you would also recall that in the last couple of months that he's been in office, he's been making a lot of these business trips. And I believe that he also made that emphasis mostly for the people at home. That's what I believe. I don't believe that it was really for the Qatari people. It was mostly to tell them that, look, I'm in business. I'm interested in bringing money in. I won't take it from anyone to see how you scuttle whatever I'm trying to do because you are requesting for a bribe and then they're going to pull back. So I believe it was more of a statement to tell the folks at home other than the folks within the Qatari government, and it just happens to be a good platform for him to have done that within the context of the conversation that we're having there. But for me, I believe it was also him just trying to emphasize the fact that Nigeria is open for business and that he is really serious about getting a lot of investment in and establishing a working relationship with the Qatari government and with the rest of the world.
All right, let me come to you, Miwa. I wonder if you share the same perception of what Dikbo said with regards to the president's statement, because he has gone to several countries trying to sell Nigeria, and we didn't hear him make statements like this. What's different this time around?
Thank you. I align with my colleague, but I want to say that the thinking of Mr. President differs from what most critics of the opinion. You will recall that Nigeria lost a number of investment opportunities in the past. There was this saga about a former minister for petroleum resources who was caught with a gold wristwatch given to him as a gift as something happened. There was also this saga of a prominent politician now who was caught with whaps of dollars in his Bariga during discussions. And these are pointers to the fact that many things had happened. As of today, the iron and steel industry in Jakarta is moribund for reasons best known to some people who are involved. I call it the so-called, the so much publicized Nigerian Airways, which brought about a repainted plane for 24 hours, only for it to be flown back. And God knows what happened. So these are the issues that will have prompted the president to say, gentlemen, we are serious this time around. Look at Nigerians from what happened in the past. This is a new beginning, and I'm determined to ensure that this coming to this place to Qatar is not just for fun. Bring in your money, bring your investment. There'll be free inflow, and there will be return on your investment because your profits will literally be repatriated without qualms. It's a clear call to everybody that this man means business. In the process of doing that, he has stepped on toes. And those he has stepped on their toes who want to fight back. If you are not really corrupt reading, why are you against the fact that gentleman said that Nigeria will assist, the environment is conducive? Should there be any hindrance? Especially if there's request for money or for what you call greasing of palms? Report that to the authorities. And you have access to me. He said report to the authorities. And you could have access to me. Automatically, the authorities will report to him as the person who's next on where all the box stops. So I don't think the man has meant anything bad for Nigeria. Actually, he actually sold Nigeria.
No, but there are those who believe he's demarketing. There are those who believe he's demarketing.
No, he never did. He didn't. That assurance alone will make some people come and say, okay, you have heard that from the president. Let us go there. I'm not giving anybody money. I'm going there to invest, and I'm going to invest. I know of a colleague who actually wanted to come out to Nigeria. Actually did. Got a contract. And by the time he was told how much he would have to part with, he decided to run back to US.
Part with how?
Well,
to Greece pounds?
To Greece pounds.
Okay.
Out of the money that had been allocated for that contract. And in his subconscious, he asked himself, and some of us who are very close to him, if he had done that, how would he have been able to execute that contract? And that would be against his own name. Say, no, he left the money, left the contract, and ran back to the US. What are you saying? So I think Nigerians should take the bull by the horns. It is high time we all knew that some people are drawing this country back. And if we can now nip this in the bud, let us do so. It does not necessarily mean that we are demarketing. Yoruba say that, I'll interpret that Omotia Wako, Lungbulita Kota, meaning if you have Nigerians who will not allow investments to come, definitely these Nigerians will only allow the country to have this investment. And that will happen to this, that Nigeria will become economically unstable. And that's what we're having now. Right. I think the man should be seen in that angle, from that angle, not wanted to demarket Nigeria.
Let me come back to you now, Dipo. Like Muyiwa mentioned, that he has stepped on toes with this statement. But would that really serve as a deterrent to those who are involved in this act, so to speak, by just making this statement?
Well, it will be the first step, and I believe that examples will need to be made. Because in the end, like you rightly asked, will it stop them? It may not. There are some people that they are just really hardcore at heart with this kind of things. I mean, you can't say good morning to them without parting with something, right? So in the case where they do err in this particular conversation, they need to be made examples of. And the examples need to be concrete, it needs to be public, it needs to be loud to send a message to others. Because unfortunately, that has always been the problem that we've had so far, having to make sound examples of people who were involved in corruption within the corridors of power to see them adequately prosecuted. And we've had this conversation here every other time. And I believe examples need to be made. And I know that one of the times we had the conversation here, I believe we had a gentleman lawyer who said that the problem is with our laws. So can we also look at reframing our laws to accommodate these things? Because a couple of days now, maybe last week, we saw reports of maybe 5 custom officers that were involved in taking bribes and corruption and all of that, up to a couple of billions of naira. And I think there was one of them that had maybe 2.5 billion to his name and returned like 50 million. And I said, what are we doing with that? That's not acceptable. Because personally, if you were to ask me, I would recommend that anyone caught in the act of taking bribes or involved in corruption in public office should have a minimum of 15 years in prison, non-negotiable. Now, the 15 years in prison will still involve you returning at least 75% of the money that was stolen.
Why not 100%?
So that's why I said at least.
Okay.
At least. So because the assumption would be, I mean, you didn't collect it yesterday, Monday, and then so maybe it's something that you say you spent it over time or you use it to fly first class and all of that. So we want at least 75%. Now, in the case where you can't meet up to 75% and maybe you bring 50%, that 25% difference will prorate it into number of years for you and stack it on your 15. Because, no, so we have to be very serious with these things.
Fighting corruption.
Yes, because if you then do the math, you find out that maybe, let's just assume that the age you get into public office or to get to the rank where you are at the level where you are given those kinds of money, you are maybe like 45, 50. So standard at 50, you are doing 15 years already, that's 65 before you come out. And then we're stacking it on with what we plurated for you. And then you're asking yourself, at 70, the people I even stole the money for, they will have blasted the whole thing before I come out. So is it really worth it? So these are conversations that people need to have and the difference that need to be in place. But we need to look at our laws accordingly and make sure that it serves as a huge deterrent that covers all. And it isn't selective in how it is executed. Because in the end, we can't keep having these conversations and say that certain things they expect to happen. You can't steal 7 billion naira and then you get fined of 7 million naira or return 7 million and then a deal is cut with you, you get a slap on the wrist, but you have somebody who owns a shop, the employee or apprentice steals 70,000 naira and then they are locked up for 3 years, no arraignments, no nothing. That's not how it's done because somehow it's looking like the bigger the theft or the bigger the thief, the better for you. So we must see how we make our laws work for us and work for all.
It's our laws really the challenge when we're talking about fighting corruption as a country?
Well, I want to differ there. There are adequate laws to take care of all forms of corruption. It's only that people are selective in the application of these laws. And you can trust that when you do it big, they apply small laws for you. When you do it small, they give you the big laws. But more importantly is that it's not enough for the president to say what he had said. It is the execution. I must say that as far as I'm concerned, he said so. I see that as good, but I see that as being catchy. The question is that, can he go beyond that? And I doubt.
Why?
I'll tell you.
Why?
Just about 3 or 4 months ago, we heard about what happened to the Minister for Monetary Affairs. So many panels were set up, blah, 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 blah. What has happened?
Perhaps there are issues going on behind the scenes.
Well, I want to believe that.
Perhaps.
I want to believe that.
Right.
We have had that in the past, and up to now, nothing will come out after that. So he has to prove to the world that it's not just going to drop words. Actions must follow. As he said, you must match your words with actions. This is an example. If something has happened to the Minister for Monetary Affairs and all those involved, and they have been dealt with, by the time that drops this, everybody will say that, yes, I'm going to be in trouble. Oh. Please come and invest. I will give you the support. All the support will be there. But where something was already in, nothing has happened, and likely not to happen, you are dropping this, they will say they are used to that. They will drop it, and that is the end. So I think you should do something now to create that to erase that impression and make people believe that time has actually come for Nigeria to turn a new leaf, that the environment should be business conducive, that the environment is now friendly, and that nobody is above the law. But I know that there are adequate laws for now to take care of all instances. It's only the application and the willingness of those who are to execute the law to actually do what is expected of them. So if there is any revision of the law anyway, even if the laws are there, and we are not ready to prosecute, what are we saying?
Can't we, the people, put pressure on these persons to prosecute and do what is needful?
That's what we are saying now. We are now asking them what happened to the discussion. What happened to the investigation on monetary affairs? What happened to the investigation on the connivance of some other companies, including some other ministers involved? What happened to the allegation of the chief of staff being involved? What's happening? We must be told. Let us know. So if you can't say this, if you can not unearth this, you cannot convince me that what you have said will be correct. I cannot convince foreign investors that if these ones have done that, nothing has happened. They will say, they have already said this, don't let us go, I'm going to invest my money. If I do now, they will really shout, nothing will happen. Let us have it concrete efforts, so that Nigerians and others will say, yes, this will mean business, and they are doing what is expected.
The political will to address corruption, and when corruption is fighting back, because that statement, we had it in previous administration. Recall that when President Muhammadu Buhari came, he talked about fighting corruption. That was part of the pillars on which his administration stood at the time. And even across the world, people knew him as that president who was ready to fight corruption. But at the end of the day, a lot of persons said corruption was even really entrenched at the end of the day during his administration. And he was always mentioning the matter of corruption is fighting back, corruption is fighting back. And recently, we also heard the vice president talking about how there were saboteurs, undermining the efforts of government at addressing the situation that we are seeing and what is going on as it is. That political will to really clamp down on persons whom, because if we know there are these people, what is wrong with us, putting down our feet on the ground to say these people must be brought to book, and Nigerians must see that this has been done, because this is how trust is built when it comes to the government and the people.
Well, with regards to the political will, we're hoping to see a lot more of it. It isn't just enough to say words, actions must follow, or else words don't mean anything. So in terms of corruption fighting back, like we've heard in the past, we must also understand that even though we say that corruption is endemic or systemic or institutionalized or whatever word we want to use for it, that the people involved in the end are still Nigerians. They aren't foreigners.
Ghosts.
We didn't import them from Cameroon or Ghana or Niger. They are invariably Nigerians. With the vice president saying that there's a lot of sabotage going on in the system, I mean, there's certain things that you look at and then you're saying, maybe they may be right, because certain things do not make sense. I mean, today we're complaining about FX, and sometimes you just have to ask questions, because you call someone in the black markets 9 a.m., how much is dollar? It tells you 1. By 2 p.m., you call him again, it tells you 1,550. So the question is, what are the market forces responsible for that 350 naira margin within those couple of hours? Nobody can say anything. And then you call him again by 3:30, and then he tells you it's 1,620. That's not how things are done. So we must see a lot of prosecution done. And if it is going to be done en masse, if it is going to be done in waves, we must see it done, and it must be done swiftly. And it must be done with great intent to ensure that it serves as a deterrent to a lot and a deterrent to all. Because in the end, we'll just keep having these conversations, and the people involved will always say, that's what the government will always say. They will always talk. They won't do anything about it. And action must be seen to be taken, or else words would never make sense. So the political will is something that we'd like to see a lot of. They've shown, to be fair, they have shown great intent with regards to having to see how they can navigate around all these issues, especially with the ones that we believe that there's sabotage within the system. But at the end, can we have some prosecutions done? Because where there's economic sabotage, that in itself is illegal. Okay? So we must see prosecutions done. We must see arrests made. We must see these things done. And it must be done publicly. Because, like you said, it's how to earn the trust of the people. Because we have a lot of talk. We've had a lot of talk, and we still do. And a lot of people aren't seeing any real life tangible difference, because what people really care about is that I go to the market today, how much is a cup of salt? How much is a cup of rice, a cup of gari? Are those things translating into anything? Or we're just saying these words and it doesn't translate into anything? So we must know that, okay, this prosecution of these individuals translates into this in the real world, either immediately, in real time, or it will take some time. Right. But they must be able to adequately communicate effectively with the people. So let us know what is really going on.
Effective communication. Now, let me come back to you. There's this talk that Nigerians usually have, saying that it's high time we make political office unattractive. We see how people, the energy which people put in, to get into office, and you wonder, what really is this about? Is this just about serving the people or about your personal interest? How do we get to that point where we begin to make political offices unattractive and say it is about serving the people and not your pocket or your interests?
Thank you. Actually, the only solution, okay, let me introduce this. Perhaps the only solution that can bring Nigeria out of this geodome and that can bring sanity to this country is making political offices less attractive. And I want to put it this way. If you have any young boy now, just coming from university, ask what you want to do. He said, I wants to be a politician, or wants to be a pastor of preferably a Pentecostal church. If you are not a politician and you're not a pastor, you cannot dangle your shoes before the congregation and say my golden shoe, say my golden wrist. See this. That's what they do now. Nobody wants to be a civil servant. Nobody wants to be a lawyer again. So what do lawyers do? They do charge and bail. Nobody wants to be a doctor unless those want to jackpot and leave the country. So the point is that the political system has been so monetized. People see it as a way of getting the money quickly. And the way our present occupants are flaunting the money will make you want to believe that if you are not in the system, you are not living. When you see a politician who is just about 4 years old in politics, buying a 500 million naira worth G5 for a woman, building this, building that, you are as a civil servant who has been serving for almost 35 years, cannot even build a bungalow, cannot even afford a fairly used vehicle. So it has to be made less attractive. And how do we do it? Number one, let us go use the camera. Let's have only one legislature, only one house. We don't need the Senate and the House. It's just duplication and waste of resources. If there is an unnecessary report saying that offices should be cut, let the government sit and do a review of the Constitution, and let's pass a law to that effect. Number two, let political posts be part-time. Go there, sit, and get sitting allowance, not permanent.
Can we achieve that?
We can do it. In the past, we are doing that up to 1966, up to the first military coup, up to Aguirre Rossi came and brought and gave us what's called unitary government. We are doing part-time. People go there and sit and get their money, allowances. The moment you know that if you go there and get allowance, you will not want to die there. And even if you have to maintain the presidential system, let us have it on basis. If you are going to the Senate, get the salary of a director of the Federal Civil Service. If you are going to the House, get the salary of a principal of a secondary school. If you are going to be the president, get the salary of a permanent secretary. The moment you know your post in
this country now,
the moment you know that is the case, those who cannot work will not go there because they know how much they will earn. And when I know how much you are earning, we are on the same salary level. You will not tell me how you got that source, that house you have been at Lekki, that gym wagon you gave to your girlfriend, that tour to Dubai that you sponsored. I would like to know. But because payments in this country is so amorphous, imagine someone going home 35 million naira every month. How much will this spend of this 35 million naira? Whereas someone has worked for almost 40 years cannot even cannot have a 5 million naira in his account. After 35 years, after almost 25 years of age, almost 6 years in the university, if you have regular education, or 10 years with this statutory strike, and after that, you can't get it. So I think I agree with those who have that opinion. Let us demonetize politics. Let us place on salary, or let us do part-time sitting. Then only those who are interested will come out and say, I want to serve my people. And they will be there to say.
Do you think this is achievable in this country?
In theory, it's good, but the question is, who are the people that will pass the laws? The people that are collecting 35 million naira, they're not going to say...
shoot themselves in the foot.
Yes, but it is true that we must make public office unattractive financially. In the last 2 months, there was the Prime Minister, I'm trying to remember the country now, that had to move back with her parents. Head of government had to move back with her parents that the salary the government is paying me is not working. In the UK, there was an MP that had to resign, that the salary you are paying me cannot cover my mortgage. So he said he's going to private practice. I mean, it's that simple, because in the end, okay, I'm serving the people, I'm earning a wage, but the math isn't mathing like we say these days, and it's not working. Man likely has wife and kids, school, mortgage. He said the thing is not covering his mortgage, so he resigned. So it wasn't an issue, or maybe some scandal happened. They asked him why he resigned. He said, okay, that what I'm being paid isn't working. So he resigned and he's gone into private practice. So until we have systems like that, where people come in to legitimately want to serve, I believe that we will keep having these conversations over and over again. And I mean, we've had these conversations here for the last couple of years. Up until now, the salary of US president is $400,000. Now, Biden is currently collecting $400,000. Obama collected $400,000. So they've not, so the point I'm trying to make is they've not adjusted anything for inflation to increase the salary since Obama's time. Since Obama's first term, he did 8 years. Trump came in 4 years. Biden has been there 4 years. The salary has remained the same. And like I shared it a couple of years ago, some folks don't know that they actually do pay rent out of that salary for being in the White House. So people just see them in the White House and they say, oh, okay. No. For example, if all of us now go visit the President of the United States today and they make special requests on the menu, it comes out of their pockets. It doesn't just come automatically like that. I mean, so I think it was Michelle Obama going into the second term that she had to sit her husband down and say, Mr. Man, the way we blew money the first time is not working. But if we run the second term like this, we're going to come out broke. And he said, what happened? He said, okay, do you know that these are the standard meals we get for these kind of guests and all of that? If you add all of this to it, we are charged for it personally. So in the end, what the president mostly gets isn't just accommodation that he pays for, isn't just food that some of it is free, some of it he pays for. It's mostly the security of it. The security is handled by the state. Right. So that's really, for me, the perk that the president of the United States gets from the office. But here, everything is taken care of. Transportation, everything. And that has sort of not incentivized people to go there with a heart of service, where you have people who are representing us, not really doing the bidding of the people, and not going there with a heart of service. They just go there to believe that, for some people, they believe it's a retirement home for governors or for people who are in various political phases of their lives. Right. So we must see how we desensitize or remove the large incentives, financial incentives of being in public office from our current system, because in the end, we cannot even afford it to begin with. So either it's corruption, either it's for corruption reasons or not, we cannot even afford it to begin with. And it's bleeding us dry. So we must see how we cut back on it.
All right. Now let's come back to why the president went to Qatar. He's been moving around across, countries, to have some agreements to show that Nigeria is ready to do business and that investors can come and invest. And in Qatar, according to the report, there were 7 agreements signed, and cooperation agreements on education, regulation of employment of workers with the government of Qatar, and some other issues, mines and industry, as well as health and all of it. How much impact do you see this having when this agreement takes off at the end of the day? How much impact will it have on the current situation of the economy of the country?
Thank you. The last visit of the president outside the country, which happened to be the 12th since his assumption of duty, is one of the series of consultations he decided to embark upon to take Nigeria out of the doldrum. I must say the truth that if you do not consult, you cannot get what you needed. If even companies seek for consultants to get out of the doldrum, what stops? In companies, what stops countries from consulting with colleagues to get so as to get out of the doldrum? Just yesterday, the former head of state, retired General Olusegun Obasanjo, did advise federal government to consult Kenya.
Zimbabwe.
Consult Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
So as to get away out of the
doldrums.
So that means you need to do bilateral discussion. So I will give that to the president, and I want to say that was the style the retired head of state used. General Obasanjo during his first time when he was traveling from country to country. And that resulted in some other economic advantages, including cancellation of our debts then. We are given debt, there was this debt forgiveness, which we were able to get. I hope all these ones will lead to some relief. Maybe these countries look at Nigeria being given another forgiveness for what we have done. But seriously speaking, I think investors should not know what you have if you don't place your cards on the table. And now that he has placed cards on the table, they know where to come in. Especially now that we are focusing on solid mineral development. The discovery of lithium will go a long way to assist the country get the much needed foreign reserve. Our oil is going out of supply for now. Very soon there will be no oil in Nigeria, and I think other resources are coming up. And if they are quickly announced, it will be to our advantage. I'm going to call like Qatar, where the belief is that I recollect when the Sheikh was replying, he did say that in this country that we plan and we study before we invest in our commonwealth.
Right.
The commonwealth is not my money. It is the money for the country and for the future generation of Qatar. We plan and we study. In Nigeria, do we plan and study? Do we look at what will happen? If you plan and study, will Jakarta's may be out of it now? If you plan and study, will somebody just bring in one plane one day and say Nigeria Airways and the following day it is gone? If you plan and study, will most of these industries that you have established, you will pay paper mill in Ogun State, would they have gone underground? So what I'm saying is that we must take a cue from that. I demanded say again that it is people's money, not my money. Nigerian leaders, this Nigeria's commonwealth has people's money and not their own money. So the man actually hit the nail on his head. And as your boss would say, also ragba, meaning he talk in an elderly way and metaphorically. And I hope those who are there will listen to what the gentleman said about how to apply commonwealth of the people. And that should go a long way.
I think
it will open the economy if it is allowed, if those agreements are allowed to see the light of the day.
It means you have some reservations with.
I do. I do because, like, look at the agreement on eradication of or reducing narcotic activities and all those substances to the barest minimum. Just yesterday, I got to know that somebody else was caught again with kilograms of heroin. Want to travel abroad? We have just an agreement to eradicate. You see? And until the country starts to do what should be done. I can't say in Nigeria now, attempt to smuggle heroin to Saudi Arabia. Because you know that when you are caught, you are going. But in Nigeria, they are not bothered because you are going to have only 5 years or 10 years. Where you have a good lawyer, 3 years. After 1 year, you are given the pardon. Maybe it is, as soon as you are caught, you are facing firing squad. Nobody wants to attempt it. As they do in other countries, as they do in Saudi Arabia, as they do in some other
Well, some people will say that is because those persons were not smart enough. So there are those who want to still beat the system.
Well, if you know the repercussion, do you know that at times the repercussion of an action determines how you take that action? It does. When you know that if you are caught or in trouble, you will not do it. But when I know that if I'm caught, I have a good lawyer, I can get out of it, what stops me? Like my friend said the other time, that, okay, if I can steal 40 billion naira, and I have to do what's called restitution, and I reform 50 million. Out of 40 billion, I give my lawyer 5 million. I'm giving 5 years imprisonment. By the time I come back, what happened to the rest of that money? Would I come and believe in the opulence? But the matter that I cannot come back because after 50 years to serve, as he suggested, there are other 50 years to serve, and I'll be leaving the prison around when I'm about 70, 75. Why would I want to steal the money? Who will enjoy the money? I will ask myself. So these are the issues at stake. So the matter to know that the gravity of what you have done, the consequence, is greater than what you think you're going to enjoy. You want to think twice before you go into it. And I want to be that if those agreements are really followed, and Nigerians allow them to see the light of the day and give these people the support needed, then it will be. No wonder the head of state said Nigerian Qatarian delegation will come after the Muslim festival, believing that by that time Nigerians should have been purged of their activities, so they still remain pious and religious to now those agreements should be. Because not after fasting, people are always very pious. I did the first 3 or 4 days thereafter. So let's believe that will be the case when they come.
All right. Anyway, let's get back to the issue. Your perspective on this agreements, because one of the statements made by the president is that he focused on the youth, saying that our greatest strength is our people. Our strength lies in the capacity of the Nigerian youth. They have energy, talent, and self-belief. They are quality partners for Qatari industry. They are educated, reliable, and they are proactively seeking to add value wherever they are. So have we harnessed this group of persons in such a way that you see this bilateral agreement really yielding something tangible for our economy?
In the scale with which we may be able to maximize it, I would say maybe 70%. And this is why I say that, because we do have a very large youth population.
Absolutely.
A very, very large youth population.
Yeah.
So I believe that whatever investment is coming in those particular areas, we have competent folks who can fill in those positions, all right? But looking at it from a bird's eye view, that the Qatar agreement isn't the only one that is on the table. We've had the ones from other countries, like over 10, thereabouts. Can we maximize all of those together efficiently? We may not be able to do that. And that's where investment in education does come in. Because in terms of, so a lot of these investments and roles would likely come in technical form. Some requires a lot of specialization, which we may not have a lot of them at this time. Now, I would hope that the folks coming in to invest will be open to training our people for some time while they take part in these jobs, in these investments, in these businesses that will be coming in from them. I would hope that that would be the case. But in terms of us even having the bare minimum to even get through the door in the first place, because, I mean, we have jobs here in Nigeria where a lot of us even complain every other day about interviewing people, and it's a huge problem. I think I've mentioned that here before. So we must be serious with these conversations and see how we adequately invest in education, because this is what we've always been saying in the past, that we must invest in education, not just for the now, but for the future. Because on some level, if you do not have certain educational requirements or backgrounds or exposure, there's certain opportunities that you will just not have access to, no matter whatever investments anybody is bringing in, or anybody that is just coming in with whatever goodwill. So there's certain things that would serve as a limiter for certain people, and they will just be there complaining, okay, the president is doing this, but the question is, are you equipped, are you qualified for those opportunities? So that's what a lot of our folks need to understand. And of course, there's also a place of personal development. So aside from whatever education your parents will have been able to give you, or your guardians, or maybe yourself, have been able to develop yourself personally outside what you learned within the four walls of a classroom. So those are the important things that we need to consider. But in terms of maximizing them, I believe that we do have some hope with maximizing those opportunities if we are very serious about them. And like he rightly said, hopefully that they are able to see the light of day. And I believe it will serve us very well, because if you know the history of Qatar, you would know that they're a very serious-minded country. Absolutely. And not just from what the Sheikh said. I mean, it was just 1987 that they discovered gas there. And look at what Qatar is today. And it's just gas, not oil. And just gas that was explored by ExxonMobil back then. And look at what they've been able to transform the country to under 40 years. So you can tell that they're very serious-minded people. So I'm not surprised that he made the statement he made, saying that, you know what, the Commonwealth the money is not for me. The money is for our people and future generations to come, because that's the mindset they had always carried with. And that's why they are where they are right now, which for me goes to the part two of what I wanted to say, that it is also instructive that our leaders also have this particular perspective, that whatever Commonwealth we have now, whatever resources we have now, whatever opportunities we have now, is not for them personally. It isn't just for us all for now. It is for the generations to come. And to see how we can harness these opportunities and maximize them accordingly, and not just leave debt for the unborn generations to come. We must also be able to leave them legacies and strong foundations and institutions for them to see, meet, and be able to build on when they are around.
Well, the president spoke about the fact that when they come and invest, they shouldn't be worried about, we are returning the return of their investments.
Yeah.
They can pull it out as quickly as possible, and that has also been a matter of concern for some persons, looking at what happened with regards to the airlines, how they couldn't repatriate their funds, and all of this. Is this also another matter that we need to critically address?
Well, I think I see that as a kite, that is a bait for those investors, because there is hardly anybody that will not want to have his sweat at the end of the day. And the saying is that you don't allow the sweat of a laborer to get dry before you pay him. So don't allow the profits of investors to be stuck in your country. You should have the means of getting this money out. And that assurance that there will be free flow, there will be the inflow and outflow of your funds is guaranteed. And I want to believe that just not quite long, just of recent, the accumulated debts of Emirates Airline.
The CBN said they have paid.
They have been paid. They have been paid. And some are still being paid. And I think Nigeria is getting out of it. Though we are not feeling it internally yet, but by the time we do all this, we can now say, yes, we are back. That's also what can be done. I see that as a good one, and I want to believe that the system should work towards that, because there is hardly anybody that will want to go to the farm and plant that don't know how to have these ones harvested. When it's time for harvest, they should have it. So I believe this will go a long way to attract these investors. And I also that those who are going to be the partakers, the food soldiers, those who want to execute these projects, will ensure that these investors can repatriate their money. That is when you can then get more. There is the saying that if you do, like in Lagos State, if you are a hard worker, they put you this so that the reward for your being a hard worker is to do what? To get more work.
Yeah.
Do more, they give more assignments. So if you can make your money, then bring in more money. And make your money, then bring in more money. And that will widen the investment scope, and it will improve the economy. It will kickstart our economy, and to be a catalyst to economic development. And all this problem for employment and farming, starvation will come to an end. That's certain.
Okay, all right. Let's look at another issue in the agreement is the matter of tourism. We know Qatar for tourism, and Nigeria also has a lot when it comes to tourist sites that we haven't harnessed for a long time now. And a lot of Nigerians have been speaking to that issue, how it's important for us to begin to look inward to harness our tourism, and how much we can even make out of it at the end of the day. I wonder how much dynamics you would want to see change with these agreements reached.
Okay, well, in terms of tourism, I've also said in time past that we need to do a lot more, because we have a lot of culture, a lot of culture. We have a lot of tourist sites, tourist attractions that aren't even well known, but you go there, you're fascinated. I mean, you ever ask yourself why certain people from Europe, the US, and different countries of the world come to Nigeria, and then some of them refuse to go back? It's because of what they've seen. It's because of rich culture that we have. Right. So our culture in itself is a type of tourist attraction. So we must see how we strongly harness this. And this was one of the things that I mentioned when Sam Stewart just came in and we had the ministers appointed then. I think they were just nominated then. I said it on maybe this platform or another, that we need to see how we maximize and harness our tourism sector. Very, very importantly, we must see how we get investments in from the private sector, partner with private sector, to see how we can jumpstart the ones that we know already are existing, and see how we can work with maybe folks who are into non-profits and all of that, even folks who are in businesses for profit, to see how we can also include other ones that aren't so well known, so that we can have an expansive basket of tourist attraction sites. Because there are countries in the world today that's all they have as revenue.
Absolutely.
That's literally all they have. If people don't come again, people start dying on the streets from hunger. So we must be serious about it, to see that we get our tourism right, because we have a lot to show the world. We have a lot to offer. The B part of that is we must fix security. because that is one strong thing that can hamper whatever we're trying to do with tourism. Because today we're talking about tourism, and some folks today will not even travel from Lagos to Ibadan for security reasons because they have a family engagement. Now, not to now talk of tourism. So we must get security right first, very important, while we work towards getting tourism and other sectors right. So, I mean, these conversations are always holistic, right? So when we're saying, okay, we need to get tourism right, it means we also need to get security right. We want to get investments right, we need to get education right. Okay.
Our time is up, gentlemen. So much has been said. So we must thank you, strategy consultant, public affairs analyst, Dikbo Iwoli, as well as public affairs analyst, Muyiwa Ogunlaja, for your time on the program.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Well, this is where we draw the curtains on the program for today, but let's let you know that